Okay, so let's take a look at how all of this kind of plays out when we look at government programs and costs and benefits and votes. Okay, so we've got this nice little box here on the next slide. On the left-hand side, we've got the distribution of costs among voters. Okay, they're either concentrated on a small group, which would be here, or they are widespread. That is, they're shared by everybody. Okay, and then we've got the same thing on the top up here. Is the distribution of benefits among voters. Again, they're either widespread, shared by everybody, or concentrated on a small group of people. Okay, so let's start with type 1. Type 1 is where the costs and benefits are widespread. What this means, well, not plural, widespread, right? Okay, what basically this means is everybody pays and everybody enjoys the benefits of this. So what's an example of this? A good example would be roads, right? So in our gas taxes are collected and they go to the Department of Transportation to maintain the roads. So that's something where I drive on the roads and I have to buy gas and I'm paying the tax. Therefore, the costs I'm paying are kind of directly proportional to the benefits I get from the road. Most people drive, so most people are paying the cost, most people enjoying the benefits, okay? Now, one of the nice things about type 1 programs is that these tend to be efficient. Okay, so what I mean by that is that if there are widespread benefits that are greater than the costs, and the costs are widespread, we as voters will tend to approve those types of projects, and they generally tend to be efficient. Okay. Now, type 2 is the opposite. Type 2 is where the costs are widespread, and the benefits are concentrated. Okay. So what's an example of this? Example here would be agricultural subsidies. Right. Every year on my taxes, probably about 10 or 15 bucks worth from my taxes when I pay my federal taxes is spent on agricultural subsidies, right? So everybody is paying through their taxes, but I don't get agricultural subsidies, right? I've got some planters in my backyard where I grow some basil and I grow some parsley. I've got a rosemary plant. I tried to do a mint plant, but it didn't do so well, and it doesn't taste very good. I don't know what's wrong with my mint plant, right? But I'm not getting any agricultural subsidies, right? The people who are getting agricultural subsidies are big farms in the Midwest, right? They're growing corn, soybeans. The sugar beet farmers get all kinds of benefits and stuff like that, right? So that's an example where the benefits go to just a few groups of people, farmers and specific farmers, right? Corn farmers, soybean farmers, etc., right? But the costs are borne by everybody, okay? As we'll talk about in a little bit, type 2 tends to lead to inefficient projects. Right? And we'll talk about in a little bit. We as voters don't have a terribly strong incentive to reject these types of government programs, but the people who are getting the benefits have a very strong incentive to maintain these programs, right? Corn farmers get anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000, right? That's a lot of money, right? And you don't want to see that go away, so you're going to hire lobbyists to maintain a lot of these programs and benefits, right? And that's why in D.C. today, some of the most powerful lobbyists are actually lobbyists that represent agriculture, corn, soybeans, stuff like that, okay? So that's type 2, where the costs are widespread, the benefits are concentrated. So type 3, this is where the costs and benefits are concentrated, okay? So costs and benefits are concentrated. Okay. Now, what's an example of this? Well, an example of this would be hunting and fishing licenses. Fishing licenses. So these fees, hunting and fishing license, generally go to maintain a Department of Fish and Game in each state, right? So that's something where only people who hunt and fish are paying these fees, right? So the costs are concentrated only on those people who hunt and fish, right? And the benefits are also concentrated on people who hunt and fish, right? So if I don't hunt and I don't fish, then I don't pay, but it also means I don't get to, bring home that big fish that I caught and get to eat it, right? So the costs and benefits are concentrated on smaller groups of people, okay? So again, like type 1, this is where we generally see efficient government programs. Okay? All right, which leaves us with type 4, okay? All right, so type 4, this is where the costs are concentrated. And the benefits are widespread. Now, we don't see a lot of programs here. And the reason why is because usually if a group is going to have to bear an enormous cost of a government program, they have an incentive to block that program. Whereas people are getting the benefits, and if the benefits are widespread, maybe they're getting a $10 benefit, $20 benefit, right? Am I going to hire a lobbyist to maintain those benefits? No, hiring a lobbyist is going to be more expensive than a benefit, right? So a lot of times we don't see very many programs like this. The one I can really think of is cigarette taxes. Cigarette taxes are usually used to support public health campaigns. Public health measures, initiatives, campaigns, okay? So that's an example where the benefits are widespread, the costs are concentrated, and it's concentrated on a group, cigarette smokers, who tend not to be favorably viewed today in the court of public opinion, right? So this is why this is one of the few examples of something that is type 4, okay? So again, with type 4, you also tend to get inefficient programs. And again, by efficiency, what we mean by this is, are the benefits greater than the costs? If the benefits are greater than the costs, then that would be an efficient thing or efficient program to do. If the costs are less than the benefits, then nah, right? So what we tend to see is type 2 and type 4 types of government programs. You get instances where inefficient programs are either approved, or you get efficient programs that are not approved, right? But type 1 and type 3, you tend to get inefficient programs not being approved and efficient programs approved, okay? So let's go through this kind of with an example, right? And let's get rid of this type 2 here. Okay, suppose we're thinking about, and this would be a very inexpensive bridge, but suppose we're thinking about putting a bridge to a particular island, okay? And we can think about the benefits received by the people who live on the island. Suppose there's 5 people on the island. And Adams here is going to receive $20 in benefit. Chan gets $12. Green gets $4. Lee and Diaz get $2. So let's suppose Adams and Chan have stores that are really close to where the bridge is going to connect the island to the mainland. Whereas Green and Lee and Diaz live on the opposite side of the island. So they want the bridge, but it's not going to be a huge benefit for them, okay? So, suppose we say, look, we want to pay for this bridge and to do it fairly and evenly. Everyone's got to share the tax burden. Okay. Okay. So if we were to do that, and suppose we this bridge costs $25 to put in. I know, very inexpensive bridge and probably not very sturdy. So we charge everyone equally, $5 each. Okay. And clearly, this is an efficient project, right? Because the total benefit is $40 and the total cost is $25, right? So it would be worthwhile to do, right? But suppose we put this to a majority vote. So majority vote. Would it pass? The answer is no, right? Adams and Chan would vote for it, right? They stand to receive a benefit of $20 and $12, and they'd only have to pay $5 each. But Green and Lee and Diaz, right? They're going to get some benefit from the bridge, but they're going to end up paying way more than the benefit they receive. So it would lose in a vote. Okay? So let's kind of take this into account and say maybe there's a different way we could adjust this, right? Because again, this is an efficient program, right? This is a bridge that would provide more benefits than costs, right? So suppose we create an alternative tax payment plan. That is, we make the costs proportional to the benefits. That is, because Adams and Chan stand to gain more from this project, they should pay more for it. And because Green and Lee and Diaz are going to gain less, they should pay less. So suppose we adjust it so that for each person, the benefit they receive is larger than the tax payment they have to make, right? Well, now in this case, it's going to win a majority vote, right? So it will win a majority vote. Okay? Because now Adams approves, Chan approves, Green approves, Lee approves, and Diaz approves if we go with tax plan B. Right? Okay, so what does this mean? Well, the reason why we're going through this is we're basically saying, okay, when are there instances when government would do what we want them to do, right? Where their projects would be efficient and would work out well, right? Well, it is when costs are proportional to benefits, right? That's one of the things that makes markets work really well, is there is a link between benefits and costs for goods and services, right? And so if we want government to kind of be efficient and to do what we as voters want them to do, you would want to somehow link benefits with costs, right? And so one of the ways you could do this is with user charges, right? That is, if you want to use a government good or service, you should pay a fee, right? And this is the way we do state parks, state and national parks, right? Again, a lot of our hunting and fishing permits are done this way, right? You want to go fishing, you got to buy the permit, right? You pay to enjoy the good or service, right? If you want to go to a state park, a lot of times you got to pay some fee to park your car, and then you can go use the park. National park, same thing. You got to pay to drive in with your car, and then you can use the park, right? So these are all instances where you try to link the benefits of the costs. And generally, when you do that, you tend to get more efficient outcomes. You get government generally doing what the voters want them to do, and they're not kind of wasting resources or being inefficient.